Konnichiwa, y'all, and welcome to the MrMaple Show. It's a YouTube channel where we talk about Japanese maples every single day of the week. If you're new here, be an everydayer. Keep catching our show. It's new here every single day, and it's very informative for the gardeners that want to get into Japanese maples.
Now, we're MrMaple.com, a family mail-order business. We ship trees directly to your door, and we do over 1,000 varieties of Japanese maples. We're on site today at our wholesale farm, Buckholz Nursery in Gaston, Oregon, to bring you a large specimen of Acer palmatum, Jiro Shidare.
Guys, I love Jiro Shidare. It is a cool plant. It's in that Naka-Komodo weeping legacy. We'll explain all that. This tree falls in there in that whole category of that weeping large palmatum style leaf. We're standing next to one of the oldest Jiro Shidares in America. This is one of the biggest and first specimens to ever make its way to America. When Tim and I were in Japan, we actually got the pleasure of meeting Jiro Kobashi. Really cool nurseryman. At Kobashi Momiji-en, they're over 300 years old, and they're 28 consecutive generations of nurserymen there in that family. So cool. We were there at the farm. We went with another friend, Taka, and Taka said, hey guys, when you get here, you may not be everybody's favorite. They've had some American nurserymen who have not done the right kind of deals with them in the past, so don't be insulted if you're not super welcomed. Just be grateful that you're getting to go to a 300-year-old nursery. So we got there, and right away, you know, the younger grandson greets us, and we go around and we're doing the tour. And Jiro himself is sitting back on the porch. He's smoking a cigarette. And the next thing we know, Jiro's out here talking to us, and Taka's kind of puzzled, and he's looking around, and Jiro keeps being so friendly. And then finally Taka's like, you know, he's kind of had enough of like, why does he like these guys so much? So Taka's kind of getting a little annoyed because he's warned us that we might not be that well liked here. And we seem very well received. So Taka finally, he just looks at Jiro and he says, basically, why the heck do you like these guys? Like, what's going on? You're being really friendly to these guys. And he said, I've been on their website and they had nice things to say about me. Really cool. That's one of the reasons we always give credit where credit's due to nurserymen, where it's all over the world. And we always approach every situation with a humbleness and willingness to learn. And it was so cool to know that Jiro of Jiro Shidare had been on MrMaple.com at the time. This was about 8 years ago. So we were just shocked and impressed that he knew who we were.
Now, Jiro is Jiro's first name of Kobashi Momiji, and that means Kobashi Nursery. And then Shidare means weeping, and that's because this thing has a nice, graceful weeping habit. I mean, typically this is a tree that's 4 foot in height by 6 foot in width in 10 years. So you can see the massive specimen we have behind us here at Buckholz Nursery.
Hey man, that's me. All right, this is a beautiful tree. It's one of the oldest in America, guys. Jiro Shidare is a seedling from Naka-Komodo weeping. You've heard us on this channel talk about Naka-Komodo weeping. It's the national treasure of Japan. We were trying to learn the history of this. Some was lost in the translation the first time, and we thought they actually were the same tree. It turns out that this is a seedling from Naka-Komodo weeping. So it's in that lineage of Naka-Komodo weeping, which is pretty fun because you have Naka-Komodo weeping, then you have Jiro Shidare, Ryusen or Ryusei, a seedling from Jiro Shidare. Then you get things like Dragon Master. You get these F2 generations on down the line. You get to all these new variations coming out of weeping large style leaves. And a lot of it starts with Jiro Shidare. So some great genetics just in this plant as well. Now, one of the cool things about Jiro Shidare is it gets a little wider than Ryusen. Ryusen's a little bit more of a bell shape. This is definitely going to be more of your typical lace leaf doming. And this one's very indicative of that. This is a big specimen. Might even be high grafted. We'll get there and look. So it's probably grafted to an older tree. But you can see this one's putting on width and then weeping down from here, guys. Absolutely puts on a show in the fall. That green stays crisp and nice all summer. Chartreuse green new growth. But in the fall, you'll get oranges and reds all over this thing. I've had it be a blazing orange that could easily rival the oranges you get with Makawi Etsubusa.
Now, the habit on this is just so graceful and hooking with its habit. So it gets some nice hooking styles as it cascades, giving it a unique structure even when this tree is out of leaf. But this thing, you may get some coral pinks in the early spring with very first flush of growth, but it's green. It gives you that lively feel out there in the garden with that palmate leaf. It gives you a shape that you think of like a waterfall or a viridis, even a little more hooking habit with that palmate leaf. So it gives a different texture in the landscape. And because of that, it's a fun tree to use out there in the garden because it stands out. Jiro Shidare is one of the very first weeping selections with that palmate leaf that became in the nursery trade thanks to Kobashi Momiji-en.
Now this thing's also durable as heck. It's going to work zones 5 through 9, and this one does very well in high heat exposures, even in full sun. So you can put this in a good bit of sun in that zone 8 Atlanta, you know, even Columbia, South Carolina. I've seen this thing performing extremely well in that dry, arid climate. It really takes a beating and just eats it up. It's a beautiful plant, but it's also got a lot of great uses because you can shape this tree to fit the structure you're wanting. So it looks great in a big patio planter or container. That weeping habit, you can actually train it to go over arbors and archways, especially when you get something this size. Now we're looking at a 25-year-old plus specimen. This thing is huge here at Buckholtz Nursery. So rarely do you see one at this size. This is actually the biggest specimen I've ever seen inside the United States. And it's here on the grounds in Gaston, Oregon in zone 8B. And it just looks phenomenal, guys. The growth rate on this is really nice, but you can see that arching, graceful habit really gives it something extra. Instead of being straight down, all those branches kind of want to arch out a little bit. Really puts on a display, especially when it puts on its fall colors.
I mean, to me, this is a classic Japanese maple that is beautiful, and it's not used enough. I mean, Ryusen hit the market, and people were crazy about it. Well, this is the parent tree to that. It has similar weeping habit, but a little bit more arching. Phenomenal fall colors. I mean, to me, this is an amazing tree that makes a beautiful specimen in the landscape and garden.
The same nursery that brought you Tamukiyama hundreds of years ago, they're still coming out with hits. It was so fun to meet Jiro and to have that piece of kinship with him where he knew that we respected what he did. And it's just a fun thing. You know, Japanese maples are kind of a universal language, so it's kind of fun when you're all around the world and you guys are into the same thing. It's like Jiro comes from a completely different world from me, being from Japan and his age range he's in. But like we had that kinship of plants that made it so much fun to meet him and instantly connect. And it was so much fun that he had actually heard of us. That was like a real surreal moment for us there. And I always think of that when I see the cultivar, Acer palmatum Jiro Shidare, like what a cool guy Jiro was. And just the fact that he acknowledged that he had heard of us before was a big moment for us in our business.
And for me, I mean, that's when our website was still a pink website.
Yeah, it was
that's when we were a small nursery, right. And he'd already been on our website. So you know he's a tree geek just like we are.
Right.
And it's just so cool to see someone who's so passionate about it after all these years. I mean, the elder statesman at Kobashi Momiji Inn just being so excited to come out there and talk to us, like that got me giddy simply because I was like, this guy is a plant legend.
Now guys, if Jiro Shidare isn't in stock at the time you're seeing this video, you can always sign up to get notified when it comes back to MrMaple.com. We add new trees every single Tuesday and Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern. So you West Coasters, you got to be up early. We're always adding new stuff though. It's actually 40 trees a week, 20 on Tuesday, 20 on Thursday. So there's always something fun returning. And we hope if you've made it to this point in the video, we've earned a subscribe for you. You can join that Maple Mafia by subscribing today. Sticking around our channel, we add tons of gardening content. If you're new to Japanese maples, it's one of the very best ways to learn about Japanese maple related content.
Take care.
God bless.
And have a great day.